Hello everyone and welcome to Parenting Uncensored, brought to you by CK IHK. I am your host, Eleanor Nabuiso, and today we'll be getting into some exciting and informative discussions ahead. We are breaking down barriers and encouraging you to embrace the journey of parenthood with an open heart and a dash of humor. Let's dive into our unscripted realities of parenthood together about the science of timing, and fathers matter too. But before we dive in, let's meet our fantastic guests. We have a wonderful mother who has been through the ups and downs of motherhood and parenthood and experienced each and every bit of parenting, and a dedicated father with the insights to share. And of course, we have a medical expert who's going to be giving us the gist of reproductive health, especially when it comes to timing. Would you please introduce yourselves?
Thank you very much. My name is Dr. Nsubuga Mushin. I'm an obstetrician and gynecologist working at CK IHK.
And mine is Shelabu, a mother of two, and also a staff of CK.
My name is Mugre Gordon. I'm a father of 4.
Now, to kick off things, we are going to be speaking to Dr. Mushid about the science of timing. Dr. Mushid, could you enlighten us on why understanding menstrual cycles and ovulation is crucial for couples planning to conceive?
Menstruation is a natural concept. And when a baby girl is conceived in the mother's womb, they are created with all their eggs that are undergoing continuous development. And at a given stage, that development is incomplete but arrested at the point when the baby girl is born. So the baby girl continues to grow till what we call puberty. And mostly this is going to be at around 12 years of age. So at around 12 years of age, because of the different changes in her body, she will resume the development of eggs, and then menstruation will start. So this is commonly at around 12 years of age. So it's very important to understand menstruation if someone is to deliberately decide to conceive. So this is what happens during menstruation. A menstrual cycle is between 21 to 35 days. So a short one will be around 21 days. A long one will be up to 35 days. So if it's outside that range, possibly someone needs to talk to their doctor. Something is happening in their bodies. Okay? Now, these are days we are counting. Day 1 is the first day the female sees the blood. That one is called day 1. And the last day is the day before she sees another menstrual period. That means if I see my periods today, and then it goes on and it stops, then I wait for another period. Now, that day before another period starts is the last day of the cycle. So you count those days. And these days we have nice trackers that help us track this. Now, what are the significant points along the menstrual cycle? We've seen day 1. On average, most people are going to have a cycle of around 28 days. And midway of this cycle, we call it ovulation point. And it's going to be around 14 days for someone who has a 28-day cycle. So for this, I'll take an example of a 28-day cycle. So when you start seeing your period, day 1, the egg that was arrested at the other phase when the girl was born, okay, continues to grow. Is selected such that it grows again, okay? Because it's supposed to reach maturity, then it gets ovulated, such that it's ready to prepare to be fertilized by sperm. So day 1, that egg is selected and it grows again. So from day 1 up to day 14, around day 14, the egg reaches full maturity. When the egg reaches full maturity at around day 14, it gets ovulated. And if 2 people have sexual intercourse, this egg will be fertilized to form a baby, and this baby will grow in the womb and then will be delivered. Now, if there is no fertilization, that means there is no sperm to fertilize the baby. What happens is that after ovulation, this egg will last for 24 hours and then it dies. So what does it mean? A woman's egg after ovulation it has a lifespan of 24 hours. Beyond that, it is dead. So, those are the events of the cycle. However, what is happening in the uterus? It's important also to understand this. Remember when we said on day 1 the egg is selected to start continuing with development. As it develops, it produces certain important hormones. These hormones continue preparing the womb by making it thick. So it thickens, it gets a lot of blood supply within it. Why? Because it's preparing, saying in case this egg that is maturing ends into a baby, this baby will grow in the womb. So as the egg is growing, it's producing hormones that are thickening the womb. At around ovulation, the womb is thick, but immediately, even after ovulation, the womb continues to thicken. Now, along there, when the egg dies, the hormone levels drop down, that way are thickening the womb. Towards the end of the cycle, the hormone levels are really down and the body realizes, no, we are not expecting a baby. So the walls of the womb break down. And when they break down, this is the blood we see that goes out. So basically, that's the menstrual cycle.
So you've explained the menstrual cycle. Luzungu lunji. It's a lot of English.
Yes.
I want the lay person to understand menstruation. I know I've understood the cycle. In simple terms, every month a girl will bleed or a woman will bleed. This is called the menstrual cycle, where the egg is released outside if there's no fertilization taking place. But Dr. Mushi, what I want to understand a lot now is what the importance is of monitoring your menstrual cycle with your partner, and how is this helpful to couples before conception?
Thank you very much. We've just talked about the lady, the woman. Let me also first take you to the man, then we come to that importance, because these two move together. We saw that the woman's egg, once it's ovulated around day 14, it will last 24 hours and it dies. Now, surprisingly for the man, once a sperm is ejaculated, a sperm's lifespan is between 3 to 5 days. So this sperm can survive inside the woman's body between 3 to 5 days. Okay? So how is this important? If we are a couple who want to conceive, number one, we need to study the cycle. And why should we study it? To be able to locate at what point does it start, at what point do I have ovulation. Why is this important? Because once ovulation happens, you only have 24 hours, and beyond that, the egg will die. That means no pregnancy beyond that point. Now, of course, we have couples who stay together every day. Okay? Then we have couples who stay together only on the weekend or on specific days.
It's also allowed.
Because of work, because of, career. Then, but these two types of couples, all of them should have children. Let me start with the ones who stay together. The ones who stay together, no mathematics really is required. As long as you can have sexual intercourse minimum at least twice, 2 to 3 times a week, you're good to go. You don't have to do a lot of calculations. 2 to 3 times a week is good. Now, you may stay together for 2 to 3 times a week, but miss out the important days. Now, that's where I want to focus.
Yes.
And if you miss out the important days, that means no baby. Now, since we said that a sperm lasts 5 days, okay? 3 to 5 days, but I'll consider 5 days for the purpose of this discussion. Now, if at a point of ovulation, which is 14 days, a sperm is not available, the egg dies in 24 hours. What does it mean? If we are to have a baby, the sperm must be available on the day of ovulation, okay? For us to have a baby. If not on the day of ovulation, since the sperm can stay longer, the sperm should also be available at least 5 days before ovulation. What does it mean? If two people have sexual intercourse, for example today, and ovulation is coming 5 days later, this sperm will be here waiting for the egg for day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5. And if the egg comes anywhere between those days, we shall have fertilization. Now, if the sperm comes or we have sexual intercourse after ovulation within the first 24 hours, still we shall have a baby. If we have sexual intercourse after 24 hours from ovulation, no baby. Okay? So we should be able to locate the point of ovulation. And this is commonly mid-cycle for a 28-day cycle, roughly. Okay? It's important to know that the sperm lasts 5 days. That means if we had sexual intercourse 5 days before ovulation, 4 days before ovulation, 3 days before ovulation, 2 days before ovulation, on the day of ovulation, we shall have a baby. If we have sexual intercourse 1 day after ovulation, no baby.
What about on the ovulation day?
On the ovulation day, baby.
That's a baby, definitely.
So, 5 days before ovulation, 1 day from point of ovulation, within 1 day of ovulation, but beyond 24 hours after ovulation, no baby. Now, the other big question people will say, Doctor, how do I know that I've ovulated? Apart from the days, there's another thing we call the basal body temperature. What happens is that around the time of ovulation, the lady's body temperature will rise by at least 0.5 degrees centigrade. But it's difficult. You don't take this temperature anytime you want. This is what you do. It's nice to monitor maybe for 6 months and you see how it is. Buy a small thermometer. It costs like 5,000 Uganda shillings. Every morning when you wake up, first thing, when you jump out of bed, as you put your legs down like this, get your thermometer, put it there, measure your temperature. Record it somewhere. Do your activities. The following morning, do the same thing. That month is gone. You'll see that my temperature has been, when I wake up every day, it ranges from here. But around that day, it went up by 0.5 and more. You're like, that was ovulation. Okay? Do it the other month and probably the other month. Then you'll be able to say, yeah, now I can know. So you'll always be able to see that the time when your body temperature goes up by 0.5, you're like, ovulation is happening. If your partner is in Mbale and you're in Kampala, please jump on a bus.
Time to work.
Time to work. They come. So, body temperature. The other thing is monitoring. We call it the mucus down there. I'll just simply call it mucus or vaginal fluid.
Yes.
Yeah. So that vaginal fluid, normally if you monitor it, yes, it's important.
It is parenting uncensored. You have to
Yes.
speak proper English.
Yes.
Scientific terms.
Yeah. So this vaginal fluid or the mucus, if someone has just finished their periods,
Moshe, look at it.
okay.
When you're explaining that.
If someone has just finished her periods, they may be actually even dry with not much fluid down there. But along the days, this fluid will keep on increasing. Okay? Towards ovulation, it will be much more. Okay? It will be more sticky and stretchy. Okay? Compared to other days when someone is not ovulating. In that when you hold it in your 2 fingers and you stretch it, it doesn't break, it just continues.
It's so much work here. So the woman has to wake up in the morning
And monitor.
and monitor the temperature. If temperature is not working for you, check your vaginal fluid.
Yes.
In the morning. You said if you're ovulating, it's now
It's stretchy and much more.
So you have to be busy in the bathroom when you wake up and say, today let me check ovulation.
Sticky, stretchy.
If it's stretchy, you might get a baby.
So the other one is you have commercial kits, okay, whereby we monitor certain hormones in our urine, okay, and once it reaches a certain level, the kit will always tell you, and you know like this is the time. Man, come around. It's time to start business, okay, getting a baby. The last thing is that naturally God also makes our bodies very interesting in that along the cycle, there is that point when you feel that your body is demanding for sexual intercourse as a woman. And it's most likely going to be around mid-cycle. That God made it natural. Just know when those things you feel, those things, your breasts are tender, you're very sensitive, you feel you want to have sexual intercourse, your body is responding. So that one is vague. Some people may not observe it because they are too busy, but that's the other way. So we can be able to utilize these to be able to understand, is it the right time? Yes. And as you have seen, the work of the man here is to be available mostly.
There's nothing special the man has to think about before.
But the man can join the wife or the partner in looking out for these signs.
So Ellen, I don't know whether it's the right time to discuss this. How do we know the woman who may calculate her ovulation time and her days? What about the sperm that is going to activate this egg?
Yes.
I am told there are some types that are not strong enough.
Then people who have low sperm count and the high sperm count.
For the men, when a man is produced or created in the mother's womb, they are not produced by, they are not produced with eggs. No, a man is produced with a factory. And once they reach puberty, the man's factory starts working. And these are the testicles. Okay? And it produces sperm every second. So as I'm seated here, every second it's like a battalion.
You are there producing sperm.
It's like a battalion. Every second there's a battalion released. So that means every second there's a battalion which is older than the other by a second. You get it? And when are they mature? We say a sperm, all this battalion, all this group of sperms that have been produced now, they are mature after 90 days. That means they are really mature for making a baby. 90 days. But it's not that the man is seated there, now I have mine, I'm waiting for them 90 days. So if I ejaculate, not me, if any male ejaculates right now, that means that segment that has gone out was older. There's another one which was just a few minutes or seconds younger than the other one, which is ready to come. You get it? Eh? So that's how it is. You get
but
it?
You know me, I've not understood. I think what she was trying to ask is, for women, we're also there. We ovulate and it's time. But the men, anytime is like a good time.
We are ready.
But we've had stories where they say the man had low sperm count.
Yes.
Meaning they didn't produce sperm every...
Now, I'm coming to that man. I started with a normal man who has no trouble. That's how it should be. Any second they are producing, at any time they have some form of sperm at different stages of development. Okay? Yes. Now, men can also have troubles whereby either, you see, when a man ejaculates, that volume is around a teaspoon full, if you are to measure it. You know this, it's like a teaspoon, like 5 mils.
We shall not measure by itself.
It's like 5 mils.
But I will not get my spoon.
In one meal of that fluid that a man ejaculates contains between 15 to 39 million sperms. Okay? Now, for someone to say that they have low sperm count, it's below 15 millions per meal. Okay? So as you can see, how men can be really blessed. A lot. Now, what will lead to a sperm fertilizing an egg? There are several factors. Factor number one is number of sperms. If you have below 15 millions, you say, but you already have maybe 9 millions. How come you can't make a woman pregnant? Number counts. For example, when Uganda Cranes is playing with Kenya, those days in Nambole, we would tell people, go and support what? Uganda Cranes. Yet it's only one man going to score a goal. So the rest of the Ugandans are there to do what? To give support, morale boost. So these other millions are morale boosting, the one that is going to do the important work, which is very good. So that means if you have few, the morale boosting is also small, yeah? So if you have a good number, but also along the way while they move up to go and meet the egg, some get lost, okay? Some flow backwards. You get it. Not all of them really get there. That's why we need that big volume. So number is important. Number two, the structure. Some of these sperms are lame. You find that the tail is too short and the head is too big, or it has two heads, it has two tails. So if this sperm is lame, it can't swim to go and meet the egg. So structure of the sperm is important. So we've seen number, we've seen structure, okay? But also movement. You may find that the sperm is nicely made, good shape, good everything, but it can't move forward. For it just moves in circles. Instead of moving forward to go and meet the egg. Some people have sperms like that, they just move in circles.
Shy sperm?
You can call them shy sperms. They can't move upwards, yeah? Yes. Other factories or other people, other men produce dead sperms. You find the factories producing, but when you look at the sperms, they are all dead. There is no living one. Yes, we shall talk about maybe at one point. Then other men produce totally fluid with zero sperm, no sperm at all. The man ejaculates and you see fluid and you're like, but things are good. How come my wife is not producing? There's nothing in that fluid. And then other men produce just very little. There's enough fluid, but when you go to check in the fluid, the sperms are too few. So all those can be troubles of men. So men also have a part to play in this. Long ago is to say the woman can't produce because we are together for a full year and there's no child. That is long ago, but with technology we know for a child it's man and a woman. So when there's no baby is taking long to come, we check the woman, we check the man, we check the two of you, because troubles can be on either side.
Wow, very, very interesting and insightful information from you, Dr. Mushid. And I'm really excited to know that the men matter too anyway in this whole cycle measuring and everything. So usually it's about women getting ready with their menstrual cycle and knowing the days of ovulation. Are you ovulating? Are you not ovulating? What are the signs? But also your partner has to be very helpful when it comes to this. They should know your body. They should know when you're ovulating, when you're not ovulating, so they know when to target and when to have a baby with you. So if your partner is away, share with your partner the dates when you're ovulating. Get a calendar, get a calculator on your phone, get an app that has the ovulation app. Sometimes they even have alarms that can show you that you're ovulating today. If he's working abroad or he's very far from you, let him know when you're ovulating, let him know when to come home and make that baby. Now, I want to speak to the mother. Did you have any special tactics you used or any special apps or methods to, try to manage and monitor your menstrual cycle during your conception journey?
For me, interestingly, no, I didn't have any. I think by the time I started doing the good manners, I was ready for the baby. And for the two babies that I had, the second one we tried to see can we count those days, because I wasn't on any family planning method. Unfortunately because I wasn't ready to have the second baby, but fortunately I had the second baby anyway. So we tried to monitor, and boom, after 3 weeks we realized that we were expecting. So from that time I did not believe in the menstrual cycle, or because I didn't know how to count the cycle, because you're busy maybe, or sometimes you miss out the day and you misinterpret for something else. Until today that Dr. Mushin has talked about it, maybe we can revisit, and instead of using the very many family planning methods, we can adopt that as the safest after today. But then we didn't have any.
Maybe safest, maybe something else, but it's one of the methods that can be used to calculate and know that I want to have a baby, or I want to have sexual intercourse, but without a baby I can still use my days.
Is it not the safest?
It is good if you want to get a baby, but if you don't want to get a baby and you want contraception, compared to other methods, its success is a bit lower.
Okay, let us, for the layman language, Dr. Mushin, I want you to explain to me, in simple English, the period starts on 8th, ends on 10th. On 10th, when does the baby happen?
Okay, maybe to use a nice calendar, let's start with the first. Imagine today is the first, and it's the first day.
I'm just going to open the calendar so that
okay, so if today is first, okay, and it's my first day of the period, and first day of the period, that means the first day I see the blood. I call it day number 1. So I go on my calendar and I mark today 1st of December is my first day of the period. And if my cycle, we said we mean the number of days from the day you see your first blood drop to the next time you will see another period. So if that cycle is 28 days, like
now you're going to another English, simple English. Today is first.
Today is first.
today's
Period have started.
Periods have started. I bleed for 4 days, and I stop.
which is up to 4th, 5th.
So if I start today first, on 4th I've stopped bleeding. Okay? But first was my first day, so I call it day 1. So second will be day 2, third will be day 3, 4th will be day 4,
And 14th will be
and
ovulation.
14th will be a day 14, and it will be ovulation.
So
That
so
means
14 days from the first day of the period
yes,
is ovulation.
Ovulation. That means if I want a baby, I can either have sexual intercourse on the actual day of ovulation, or if that day I'm unable to because of the various factors, I can have sexual intercourse on day 13, or day 12, or day 11. You get it, eh? Beyond that, you may not get pregnant.
And after that?
And after day 14, after day 15, no pregnancy.
We're still talking about the timing when it comes to parenting, menstrual cycle and how to monitor it and when to know when to have a baby or when not to have a baby. It's very exciting right now, but I want to get into the most exciting part of this show. For me, I think it should be the best for you as well, the myths. I want to know more about the myths when it comes to timing. I know through childbirth and conception, everyone's going to tell you what to do. If it's raining outside and the sun is shining a little bit, you'll have a boy. If you look outside and the sun is shining up, when the moon comes out, when the moon is full, you're going to get pregnant. There's so many myths that come with the timing for pregnancy, and I want to know from the doctor what myths you've heard about conception and the menstrual cycle and timing for childbirth.
Thank you very much. Different parts of the country will have different cultures. And, you know, conceiving, sexual intercourse, parenting is part and parcel of our culture. So different people are going to have different beliefs. I've had quite a lot. For example, so someone comes and says, but for this part it was instead to prevent pregnancy. They're like, doctor, if you have sexual intercourse during the actual menstruation, when someone is bleeding, then you'll have a pregnancy. When you have sexual intercourse when someone is not bleeding, you will not have a baby, a pregnancy. Yet to me, it's the other reverse, according to science.
Yes.
You know, during periods, you will not have a baby. Okay, you will not get pregnant. And then other people believe that during during menstruation, you should not have sexual intercourse. Wait for immediately after menses if you want to have a baby. Still, that point in time, you will not have a baby. So there are several myths around the timing. Okay, that's why it's very important for people to understand the actual science. Okay. Yes. And other people say when you have sexual intercourse, when you remove, okay, this is a bit nasty, so prepare your ears.
It is parenting uncensored. Tell us.
As in the last pad of your periods, okay, if a lady has been using her pads, so the last pad she uses from her periods, if you put it under the pillow, you might have a boy. You know, all these sorts of, yes, yeah, in the bed. So, you know, you can have all sorts of these things. Then, okay, many of them are quite nasty. The other one is to do with the ladies' underwear problem. I'll stop at that. But
tell us, because that you have to tell us it's parenting uncensored. We need to know out there, because these are things people deem this normal out there. People think myths are actually okay to believe in.
But there are some others which are actually harmless, which are to do with foods, okay? Someone says, you know, when you eat bananas, when you eat this type of food, you'll have this type of sex, which is okay, because that one is nutrition, which is very good. When you eat G-nuts for the men, when it comes to the time, you're going to be very good, your lady will be pregnant, and it has some bit of science in it, because that's nutrition. Yes. So those are good ones. Yeah, true. They want to do with nutrition, they have science in them, they are true, because why? The quality of the egg, but also quality of the sperm will depend on how healthy the mother is, okay? So if I feed well, there are certain micronutrients. Micronutrients are small food values we get from different foods. They are important in the formation of the sperm, but also the maturity. They are also important in the maturity of the egg. Actually, when you look at certain medicines that people may buy to boost their sperm counts and so on, when you look at them, if you read there, you'll see that what is written on them are actually food values we get from our own foods. So, things to do with nutrition, I would give a big tick.
Even Mulondo.
Even Mulondo, yes. It has certain, it has two components. It may have components that help with development of the egg and sperm, but it may have some component which is an aphrodisiac, which increases...
meaning Viagra, like Viagra.
that increases what people locally call libido or manpower, this kind of thing. So it's nutritional, which is very okay. So anything nutritional is a tick. Please eat the things. Anything to do with the pads, underwear, specific sun position, it may be harmless to you, but it will not give results.
Let me tell you the best one I had. They always told us if it's raining, like drizzling, not raining so harsh, but if it's drizzling outside and the sun is like shining a bit, usually they say Ngwezala, like a lion is giving birth in Uganda. But now here they say if it's drizzling a bit and the sun is shining a little bit, make sure you have sex with your partner. You have twins. You two are waited for drizzles. I would say, honey, it's not drizzling. Don't touch me. Wait. It's not drizzling. If it's drizzling a bit, here it's drizzling. Twins. But twins didn't happen. So I think these myths are actually very misleading. And sometimes you might be lucky and the myth works for you at the time. Or you might be unlucky and it doesn't work and you hate yourself for it. So I think it's very important to always go for consultations, especially at C-Care, or call up your gynecologist and find out the truth about timing and menstrual cycle. Let me ask the mother, what are those exciting myths you've had when it comes to menstrual cycle and timing?
Interesting. Not the menstrual cycle, but timing of the pregnancy. So they told us to always, or I've had, let me not be specific, that when you have sex in the morning, between 5 to 6 in the morning, you'll have a baby boy. So every morning, 5 to 6, you have to
have a morning
touch
glory.
your partner. You call it morning glory, so that you'll be active. First, it will give you, apparently, it gives a tone to your day, and it will also give you a baby boy. Whereas it's a good thing to have those activities towards morning, but they don't necessarily result into a baby boy. Because I had and I got a baby girl.
But you had the glory in the morning.
I had
the glory in the morning, but
it
didn't work.
A baby girl.
As we wrap up this enlightening dive into the science of timing, remember, knowledge is power, and intentional hospital consultation at C-Care can be your compass in this beautiful journey. So don't go anywhere. Click on the next episode, and we'll be diving into the equally crucial topic of fathers matter too, the role of men in conception. Now stay tuned and stay informed, and let's continue on this journey together with the unraveling support of C-Care Hospital. Welcome back, dear viewers, to this second half of the Parenting Uncensored show, your go-to destination for the honest conversation about the unpredictable roller coaster of parenthood, presented by C-Care Hospital. I'm your host, Eleanor Nawiso, and in this half, we're going to talk about very heartfelt discussions, the science of timing in family planning. We're now gearing up for the second act, Fathers Matter Too, the role of men in conception. Settle in and let's unravel the untold stories and the pivotal roles of fathers in the journey of parenthood. Now stay with us on this unfiltered adventure, Parenting Uncensored.
Men are very important when it comes to this concept of conceiving. They play a big role. Just like we know that a woman has an egg that she contributes, a man also contributes a sperm. Now, when we look at a sperm, we may think that this sperm just appeared. But there is a long, important process behind this that determines the quality of this sperm, because finally it will determine the quality of the baby we are going to have, leave alone determining whether we shall have a baby or not. So, this starts way back when the boy is also still growing up, okay? This, number one is that these sperms are manufactured in a testicle, okay? So, a boy must first of all have a testicle.
Of course, a boy must have.
If we are to have children in the future.
Yes.
But do you know that there are boys who are born with either no testicles, or when their testicles didn't descend into what we call the scrotum?
Yes, I've heard about this one.
Yes. So this actually affects whether this boy will grow up into a man who will contribute to good sperms that will give us a baby or not. Why? If a baby is born with a testis that didn't descend into the scrotum and it stays in their tummy, the environment in the boy's tummy does not provide a cozy environment for production of sperm. So these are men who are going to grow up and, number one, they have semen which has low sperm count or no sperms at all. So when a baby boy is born, it's important for parents, but also the health workers to determine whether testicles are there in the scrotum. Yeah. If they are not there, the future is probably doomed if it's not corrected. So that's the first thing. So we have a role as parents, leave alone the boy himself, yes, who turns into a man. Now, as we are growing, we are also playing very many things, very many activities. We are jumping on trees, climbing, going down, and we are hurting our testicles. Yeah. So once they get hurt and damaged, you may find someone growing up with one testicle very small, another one of a normal size, or all of them very small. Why? Because they were hurt while they are growing up. Therefore, they will not produce sperms, or very few sperms along the way. There are diseases that may affect us, and you realize that all these factors I'm talking about, the boy or the man may or may not contribute much to it while they are growing, yeah? Until when they are responsible enough and know I shouldn't have done that. Yeah. So diseases like, for example, mumps. You've heard of mumps? Yeah. Yes, kids suffer from them in schools. They can be very dangerous, that they can progress to the testicle and cause trouble. They are closed down that factory. Yes. And we have to vaccinate our children against this.
Yes. What's the vaccine called? MMR. Yes. I think most parents actually miss vaccinations for children, because I've had some parents who believe in the organic side of life, and they don't believe in vaccinations and immunizations. And somehow I think you're hurting the child's future. By future, I mean even the boys. They might not be able to produce later in life because you didn't give them the MMR. And in school, and then when they go to school, they find themselves getting mumps. And usually mumps don't really have a direct cure. So you might find that the mumps are progressing into the scrotum and killing the boy's future. So as parents and fathers, we have to be careful with our sons and help them around this. Immunize, vaccinate your children.
So let's keep people's husbands safe as they are growing. That's what it means.
Hey, mama.
So now they are growing up, okay? We've seen those ones in their childhood. Eh? Now, as men, when we grow up, we are supposed to take care of that factory very well. How? We are supposed, number one, to feed very well. Because nutrition is important, like we saw earlier on. There are certain components that nourish this factory, that make it be able to produce good quality and good number of sperms. Okay? Basically, we shall say a balanced diet. Number two, obesity. If we put on, obesity means overweight is also a problem itself. Obesity is even worse than overweight. So in Luganda, we say omugejo. Yeah? So obesity itself, a lot of fat will interfere with the important hormones in a man's body that will contribute to the manufacture of the sperms. Okay? So men, let's exercise, let's keep fit. Okay? The other important thing, drugs. People smoke a lot of alcohol, marijuana, and other drugs that we abuse. They affect the brain, because the brain plays a very important part in actual manufacture of our sperms. Mm-hmm. It produces certain hormones that go to make the testicle produce more of these sperms. So these drugs that we take affect those hormones that come from our brains to go and make sure that the sperms are produced. So drugs, and by drugs we mean alcohol, smoking, marijuana, and very many others, okay? These affect too, okay? So, as men, we are supposed to protect ourselves from these things. The other important thing that is growing these days, high temperatures. You find us going to saunas, steam baths. We are sitting there for a long time. You know, God is very nice. When he was creating us men, realize he put the testicles in the scrotum outside our body. They are just hanging out. Why? To regulate temperature. If you look at a little boy running in the rain, these things will contract and go upwards on the body. Why? To be able to tap on the body temperature to warm up. When it's very hot, they hang very low. Why? They are running away from the heat. Now for you soak it in some nice hot kind of thing for long. So we are spoiling our... So as men, let's look out for these things, okay? Now, after looking out for all these things, we are improving the quality, the number, but there are other diseases that may come up also to affect us. For example, people who have diabetes, people who have high blood pressure, such diseases affect the important organs that contribute in the production, okay? So as men, and realize that, for example, high blood pressure, obesity, still it will come from poor nutrition, not exercising. So as men, we have a role to play in this. Now, after making sure that the factory is safe, it is producing very well, even our parents helped us to grow well, to hand over a very good husband who is functional, we have another bigger role to play to make sure that for us, our factory is already functioning, it has the sperms, but we have a wife, and we have to make sure that we study the cycle together such that we harmonize it if we are to get children. Timing, making sure that we time ovulation. Yes. So that's the role where the man comes in.
Oh, interesting.
Yes.
You know, as the women are busy trying to, get ready for the man, I know my cycle now, I know my ovulation dates, I know when to call him up, come make a baby. The men too should not be relaxing. They should be taking care of themselves and grooming their scrotum. I mean their sperm. Eating right. Yeah. Keeping that part of your body good and clean. So when the woman is ovulating, you two are ready at the time, because you won't blame the woman for not giving you a child when you haven't taken care of your own body. So men are involved in this too, and this is why I want to...
Maybe something small as we cross over. And it's small but very important. Sexually transmitted infections. They are a big component that contribute to, I would say, infertility or failure for a couple to get children. If a man gets infections too that are not attended to, number one, should be prevented first of all.
How do you prevent these sexually transmitted diseases for men, apart from sexual intercourse? Because some men get diseases from just using a toilet or,
Now, sexually transmitted infections, it's rare that, it's not, let me not even use rare. The way through which we get it, just like its name, is sexually transmitted infections. It's going to be through sexual intercourse with someone who has this infection.
But then there's also the UTI,
Now,
the UTIs.
Yes, we have urinary tract infections. I always tell people that urinary tract infections and sexually transmitted infections are just good neighbors. Okay? So some of them we share them, they will be sexually but also urinary tract. But commonly, let me concentrate on the sexually transmitted infections. We should protect ourselves from catching these infections. By number one, we use a condom, we be faithful to our partners. Those others who are not yet engaged in the activities, sexual activities, abstain. Okay? Yes. Now, what do these infections do? They go in the channels that are supposed to transport the sperms. They affect them, cause small wounds there. As the wounds are healing, they heal with scars and block. So, in that the factory is producing, but the channel that should make the sperms flow out to come and now go into the lady are blocked. So we can nicely have sexual intercourse, but the sperms can't come out. Yes. So sexually transmitted infections also contribute. So if we want to make sure that we have babies, those ones also should not be in our bodies. We should prevent them in our bodies.
So this whole time, we've been talking about women, mothers, women. But this journey is not complete without the men. We should always consider the men as we talk about this journey to conception. I would like to engage with a father, an experienced father, and I would like to know what he did on this journey to fatherhood. How did he get involved in this journey to conception, and what advice would have for the fathers out there? Please introduce yourself to the people watching and give us your views.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Gordon Munguriek, a father. I would like to share how I navigated through to conception. First of all, I want to celebrate CCare for this wonderful strategy of tabling conception as a topic of discussion for people out there, especially the fathers to get to know their role in this concept. Personally, conception was a thing that in the first place I never had a lot of information that requires me to seek like medical advice from the doctors. I looked at it on a very narrow perspective, like it's something I can talk with my wife and we get it done, you know. But my constant engagement with C-Care in this place, C-Care has actually acted like my parent.
Aww.
Yeah, I remember once upon a time when we were planning to have a baby with my wife. Time came when we were delaying, things are delaying, and I'm asking myself, what is the problem? At some point, I even started to complain. You know, I was asking my wife, what's the problem? What's not happening? Now, the problem was, me personally, I never had like some prior information about this whole concept of preconception advice. You know, I never had this. So somehow it made me far from certain things. And I believe some of my colleague fathers out there also have this same gap. You know, we tend to leave the issue of conception to the women and all its calculations,
Yeah.
you know. So me, I didn't know how my wife does her calculation of the menstrual cycle, ovulation time, you know. Because at some point, I remember she was feeling like some headache, so I advised her to take some painkiller. And because she didn't take it in my presence, all I got from her was that she had some serious bleeding, and this time it was March. You know. So that was enough for me to begin complaining again. Maybe you took a lot of painkiller, you know.
Yeah.
Because after that, still, she took time. But our problem was the timing. You know, it's a problem when the woman herself, you may understand the cycle, but just like the doctor was trying to explain, like when a woman reaches her ovulation time, then maybe the next day after it, it is possible that you can have a baby. But when you delay, then it's no work done. Whatever you do, no baby will come in place. So somehow, I think that has been the problem we've been battling with. Not until we began to check with the hospital, and in this case, C-Care. So I got the knowledge of this, and I got positioned with my wife, you know, and things happened. Yeah, things happened, and from that time up to date, we now know how to navigate this journey well. And I'm advising my fathers out there, my fellow fathers out there, that it's important we don't leave this thing only to the women. You know, every time we talk about this conception, we talk about a woman and what she goes through to have this blessed baby we have. We should look at the spectrum of it. our health living, our peaceful living, you know, how does it contribute to our peaceful living in a home? Because if a woman is delaying to conceive, and because you don't know the problem, you're going to blame her. You're going to begin exchanging words. And you know, men, instead of visiting the hospital, sometimes we tend to go back to our parents.
Yeah.
You know, you begin complaining, my wife is, you know, delaying. And then some of our parents are, because they are not experts maybe in the medical field, some of them are still living with those myths. I remember my colleague once told me, you know, when your woman is delaying to have a baby, it means she has been having sex with very many people out there. So these things, you see, as simple and funny as they sound, they have a very negative impact in the family, you know. So you imagine when you conceive this idea and bring it to pour on a woman, you know, who is innocent. So I advise you, my fellow fathers, that we seek the right information from the experts in the hospital who should guide us in navigating this journey resourcefully to have a peaceful family.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Wow, that was very insightful. I had no idea that the myths actually kind of get into a marital home and kind of disorganize it. Because like you said, if you believe that the woman has been sleeping around,
Yeah.
then she can't have a baby immediately, which is a myth.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not true. But then all these things come back and affect a marital home.
Yes.
They bring quarrels, they bring arguments. Also, if you don't know your partner's times of conceiving,
Yeah.
or like the menstrual cycle,
Yeah.
you won't know because he might want it at a certain time, and she's saying, no, it's not time for that. And you're thinking,
Yeah.
why? Why must it be time for that? Every time should be time for this.
Exactly.
Next thing you know, you're not getting a baby. 5 years later, because you've been having sex at the wrong times of the menstrual cycle. We've heard it
That's why.
straight from the father's mouth. An experienced father has shared with us his journey through conception with his partner. And I think it's really important for men to be involved on this journey. I like the fact that he has opened up about everything and knowing that the myths have actually ruined marital homes. People, if your auntie or your singer or your grandma or your mother told you, my son, if your wife slept around when she was younger, she won't conceive. My friend, they're lying. Maybe you have a low sperm count. Don't go with the myths. Go and check. Maybe you don't know the dates for the menstrual cycle. Maybe you're just here swinging on 10th when it's supposed to be on the 11th, and you're insisting on 10th when you should have done it on the 11th. So let's get involved, men. Talk to your wives. Talk to your partners about their menstrual cycle, their ovulation dates, and get to know their body types and their bodies so you conceive knowing that you hit the jackpot. Now, I want to know, how does it feel for a mom? How does it feel for a woman to know that the father is there in her life? To know that the partner is caring enough to know her menstrual cycle, the conception journey, and is willing to share dates and understand this journey. Let me talk to the mother.
Interesting. Thank you so much, Elena. So for the fathers, I would love to see a father who is very, very involved and emotionally available. Emotionally available, I mean they are available physically and also touching us right, giving us some money, calling.
Say it, girl. Touching us right, giving us some money. These are the things that contribute to conception.
Yes, these are the things that make us
Scientific.
emotionally ready and also liquid, like Dr. Moshe talked about. They say wait. I want to be wait when my husband comes home. So it has to be available both physically and emotionally so that we walk this journey. As we go through the counting of the menstrual cycle, the days that are available, by the time I'm ovulating, I am also psychologically prepared for him. So as we walk the journey to the hospital, to carrying the babies, we want our husbands, our men to be available at every step of the way, not only during the act.
You had it right, fathers. Be available emotionally. The lady said, for me, money, being available. When you're there at the right time, she gets wet. You doze.
Hope you're not recording this.
This
Seriously.
parenting uncensored. That's the name of the show. Parenting uncensored.
She
You
said,
want?
wait.
Yes, that's another right term though, scientific term. It is. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to give us the last piece of this show.
My last word to my dear and fellow fathers out there, we should value conception, because at the end of the day, it will be a determinant of the kind of life we are going to live as couples and raising this baby that we are blessed with. If we neglect or take the medical advice that should protect us in navigating this course, then it's going to grow up into something that will disturb our living in the course. So whether you are learned or not, it's very important that we have this information and cast down the crown of our ego as men. Let's get down there and listen to our women. Let's get involved in what they're going through and the aftermath of it, so that we have a healthy and productive living.
Thank you so much.
This is a time for us to, now that we know how to count our days, menstrual cycle, you want to get pregnant. I've had very many mothers who are struggling to get pregnant, and don't struggle in silence. You have a chance now to consult your doctor, your gynecologist from any hospital. We are telling you this as CCare, IHK, CCare Uganda, but you can consult any doctor that you're comfortable with so that you navigate through this journey together with your husband. If you pay, our doctors are available. We have about 15 gynecologists in-house that can walk this journey.
That's cute. And doctor, do you have any final words for this journey we're sharing?
Yeah, thank you very much. I think the most important thing is going to be the business of conception is between a man and a woman. It's not a business of a woman alone or a man alone. Together, understanding the menstrual cycle is very important. Why? Because the window of conception is time-bound. You can't conceive every day. There is that specific time, and it's very important to understand it. Now, that's for both of us, man and woman. But for us raising future husbands and wives, there's a lot we have to do for our children to make sure that when they grow up, they are going to be people who are able to father children easily by doing the important things we've discussed. Thank you very much.
Wow, thank you so much. We've shared from the father, an experienced father. We've shared from an experienced mother. We've shared from a doctor and gynecologist, Dr. Mushin. And I would like to share my last thoughts as a mother. Let's forget the host. As Eleanor Wiso, the mother, I would like to say it's very beautiful to have your husband on the journey to conception. It's very, very beautiful to know that your partner is with you from the beginning, talking about, are we going to have a baby soon? When should we do it? And knowing the dates. It may sound like a job, but it's actually fun when you have that calculator and then you have the ovulation up and the alarm goes off and you're together in this planning and that alarm goes off. People imagine what happens after the alarm goes off. Anyway, even towards the journey of conception, the wife is pregnant, your husband is there throughout, even the day of labor and giving birth, if he's in there, people, it changes everything from there on. It changes a lot. I'd like to advise all the men to be there for their wives as they give birth. Even before they give birth, just be there for her. Be loving. The mother there said, give her money. Not that I'm saying this should be the route to people to conceive. Women, I'm not saying don't get spoiled. Don't ask for money to get babies. No, what she was trying to say is if a man values you and holds you with care and takes good care of you and is there with you and listens to you and knows your body, it's going to be the easiest journey to conception. Thank you so much for joining us on this insightful exploration of Fathers Matter Too. It's been a journey filled with stories, advice, and celebrations of this pivotal role fathers play. A big thank you to our wonderful guests and, of course, CCARE IHK for championing intentional consultations and supporting families every step of the way. Until next episode, remember, parenting is a shared adventure, and with CCARE by your side, you're never alone. Now take care, stay connected, and here's to the unpredictable, beautiful chaos of parenthood. Goodbye for now. Until next time, stay tuned. I'm Eleanor Nawiso, your host.